Alright, so this section or this part and then the next part of Chapter 8 are both going to deal with what to do after the installation. Okay, so there's several things that you're going to want to take care of to make sure your computer is not only working properly, but to make sure it's protected right away. Okay, so first off, of course, is verify the network access. Okay, once you have that, it's a whole lot easier to activate Windows. Okay, then you want to install any updates or service packs. Okay, really this one and the one a little bit further down, right down here, they can both be done together because you want to install your updates and service packs plus installing your antivirus and anti-malware and stuff like that right away, especially if you have a network access. Because the longer you're on the network without any type of protection like that, the more likely it is that you're going to become infected. Okay, so make sure and get that done as quickly as possible. Okay, then make sure your automatic updates are set. Okay, then you can go in and install any additional hardware. Okay, then you can install additional applications like Office or Adobe Reader or Maya for gaming or whatever software you're dealing with. Okay, so after that point, you can then go in and set up any accounts, user accounts, anything like that. Restore any data, any backups or anything. Then you can even turn on any additional Windows features or turn them off. If you're one of those that hates Internet Explorer, you can go in there and turn that feature off so you don't have to deal with it. Okay, so that's a good time to go in and do that. Okay, so this kind of breaks down each of those categories. So we kind of looked at or talked about network access. So make sure you can access the web. Make sure you can access the network if you're part of the domain. Make sure you can get onto that file server, whatever the case may be. If you come into problems, that's when you have to start doing some network troubleshooting, which we'll get more into depth in further on in the semester. Okay, but you basically just want to go through and see if you can get out to the internet. Okay, check to make sure your wire's connected. Make sure you've chosen a wireless network, that kind of stuff. If you're coming up with problems. Okay, then you definitely want to activate Windows. Okay, again, make sure that you have a valid product key. You want to make sure and enter this within 30 days. Okay, very simple to do. You can click Start and then enter Activate under the search box, or again, you can right-click on Computer on Windows 7. When you go to Start, right-click on Computer, go to Properties on that System window, and then you can click on Activate Windows down at the very bottom. Okay, so those are a couple different options on activating it. Again, after 30 days, nothing's going to blow up or explode or anything like that. It's nothing that drastic. All it's going to do is it's going to turn that background black, and it's going to eliminate or not allow you to install any type of updates or anything like that from Windows. So it'll make your computer a whole lot more vulnerable. Okay, so speaking of updates, it's very critical that you have your updates turned on. Okay, so if you go into your system window, if you click on Windows Updates, it'll show you what your update settings is, or what they're set to. Okay, you want to click on Check for Updates first, just to make sure it picks up anything. Now, depending on what version of the operating system you're installing, can really depend on how long this takes. If you're installing Windows 7, the basic or the base operating system with no service packs, get ready to sit there for a while, because it's got to download updates and then do the service pack and then download additional updates. So you're looking at a few hours probably. So you always want to try to get the OS with the most up-to-date service packs and everything like that if you can. Okay. If you have certain updates that you don't want to install, you can actually go through and select those in the update window. Okay, for instance, if you're running Office but you don't have Microsoft Access, or you don't have InfoPath or something like that, there's no reason to download those updates. Okay, so, and like it says here, it may take multiple passes to get that computer up to date. Okay, so this window will show you in Windows 8 basically whether or not you're set to automatically update. Okay, which is definitely recommended because your computer will go through and download those updates and install them as it sees fit if it needs to. Okay, and the only exception to going through and changing these automatic updates is if you're on a laptop. Generally speaking, it's going to download these updates every night at 3 a.m. Well, if you're on a laptop, you're going to put your computer to sleep, so that's not an effective method. So what you're going to do instead is you're going to want to run your automatic updates whenever you boot that computer up. Okay, so but to get to that, you just click Change Settings in the left-hand pane. Go into the recommended settings, which you'll see is to automatically install, and then you should be all set. So this is what it's going to look like right here. Okay, so the next one is virus and spyware. Okay, you definitely want to get this taken care of, again, as quickly as possible. Okay, so Windows Defender, if this sounds familiar, basically this was around in Windows 7. The only problem was in Windows 7 this was complete junk. Okay, so essentially what happened was with Windows Defender, it was supposed to be a spyware engine trying to catch spyware, but it was never any good. So what they did was they completely stripped it, and they took the Microsoft Security Essentials, which was a free antivirus, and put that engine inside Windows Defender, and then recreated a spyware or malware scanner as well. Okay, so it's become a whole lot more effective. Okay, so to get to this and verify it's working correctly, on the start screen, just click on Windows Defender or start typing Windows Defender in the search and it'll find it. Click Update and it'll automatically update. Okay, so this is important with Windows 8 and 10. Antivirus and anti-malware is already installed. Okay, this isn't the case on Windows 7 or anything prior. Now, it doesn't mean that you're married to Windows Defender. If you don't like this, you can uninstall it and you can download and install whatever you want, whether it's Norton, McAfee, AVG, Avast, whatever the case may be. You can install any of those if you want to. You're not forced to do Windows Defender. Just know that it's automatically on there for you if you want to use it. Okay, so after it's updated, you click on the Settings tab, and then you can choose the real-time protection if you want to. Okay, real-time protection, when that's checked, that's basically going to scan stuff as you're receiving it, as it's coming in. Okay, so once you're done with that, you just click on Save Changes, and then you're good to go. Okay, then at the next point, you can start installing hardware. Okay, so with installing hardware, you can start going through and checking the device drivers, make sure everything is picked up correctly. If not, you can go out and download the device drivers from the manufacturer's website. So generally what you'll see when you get into the device manager is you'll actually see little question marks if they're not sure what the device is, what it goes to, or there may be like a little yellow yield sign or something showing that we kind of know what it is, but it's not working correctly. Okay, so a couple things you might have to do is, of course, install drivers from the motherboard, for the video cards, of course the printer. A lot of times Windows may pick up the printer, but it may not work to its full functionality because it may be a multifunction printer or something like that. So you'll have to install the software to get it to work correctly. Okay, so any other specialty hardware, you're going to want to read through the documentation and see if there's anything you need to take care of. Okay, so again, we kind of talked about briefly the device manager. That's where you can look and see all the device drivers that are used within Windows. And we talked about those drivers. So if you're having issues and a device is showing to be installed correctly or working correctly on Device Manager, you can try uninstalling those. Okay, if you uninstall it and then reinstall that device, a lot of times that will resolve a lot of issues. Not only that, but you can go through and look at these devices, and you can go through and update them as well. Okay, so this is your typical device driver window. You can see here we got a USB host controller that has issues because it has a little yield sign. Okay, and then right here, let's say we're having issues with this mouse. Okay, we can go in and uninstall it, reinstall it, and that will, if that doesn't resolve the issue, we can go through and click on update device or update driver software. And what we do there is we can choose to um, automatically search for updates. And what it's going to do is it's going to go out to Microsoft's driver database, and it's actually going to install all the updates or find the most recent update for the driver for you. Now the catch there is a lot of manufacturers, what they'll do is any new updated device driver, they may keep it to themselves on their site for the first few months, and then they'll upload it into Microsoft's device driver database, so to speak. Okay, so you may not get the most up-to-date, or if it's saying it can't find one, you may have to go check the manufacturer's site as well. Okay, so legacy drivers, one thing you'll notice is you have the option under device driver, or device manager, excuse me, to go under view here and show hidden devices. Okay, now 99% of the time when you're working on a computer and you do this, it's not going to really change anything. But there are those occasions where you're running a legacy device or a device that's not developed for Windows 8 or Windows 10 or something like that. And that's where these will show up under those hidden devices. So you want to make sure that you download the device driver probably from the manufacturer site that would work with that device. If it doesn't have one, then it may have to be one of those devices that you just that you have to either run a virtual machine with an older operating system on or something like that to utilize. So it just really depends on the system you're dealing with. Okay, so the next section is dealing with installing applications, and you know what, we're pretty good on time, so we'll just keep on trekking along. So this one is where you can actually go through and start installing those application softwares. Okay, you can go through and install Office or whatever you need, and then once you get certain things installed, if you find yourself needing to uninstall something, very simple process. Or even nowadays, a lot of manufacturers put on their third-party software on there. So specifically with laptops, you may find like wireless utilities and all these other doctor utilities on there. You may not need one of those. You may think one of them is causing your problem. Okay, so it's real simple. You go into the control panel, and then under programs, if you're in category view, this will be the programs and features window. Okay, so it's as simple as either right-clicking and click uninstall, or you can just click on it and then click uninstall up here at the top. This is another great way to clean up your system as well. Okay, so if we could have made this a little bit bigger, let me see if I can't bring mine from Jupyter I'm on. There we go. So if looking at mine, you can see I've got a lot of software installed, but this is a great way to clean up because you can essentially go in here and see, okay, what kind of space am I looking at? Okay, if I'm trying to free up space, I've got all this Adobe software here that's at over a gig itself. Okay, so if I wanted to free up space and I don't use this software, I can then just click on it and uninstall. See how that uninstall pops up as soon as I click on one, and then it'll uninstall that software. Okay, I'm trying to think if I have anything on here that I actually can get rid of to show you what it does. Let's see here. Let's do the media player. There's no reason to have that on there. So once you click uninstall, it's going to pop up with the uninstaller here. So you just go in here and walk through that, and you'll see it's a pretty quick and painless process. Okay, so that's how easy it is to uninstall the software. Once you do that, you'll notice it's gone. Okay, it's no longer on this list. Okay, but this is also where you can go in, where I'm going to kind of skip ahead a little bit, but this is where you can go in and adjust your Windows features. Okay, so when you click on that, it's going to pull up this box here, and this takes a little bit to populate because it's going to go through and see what features are currently turned on and which ones are turned off, and then give you a visual representation of all that. Okay, so you know what, we'll come back to that whenever it's ready. But this is how you uninstall applications here.